King, 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 King.
Great Thursday. Welcome to the King Connections podcast. I'm your host, King, and I'm joined by Grammy nominated artist and author, Glenda Benevides. Did I say it correctly? I'm sorry.
Benavides.
Benevides.
Yeah.
I had it until I had to say it, so forgive me for that.
It's all
So,
good.
how you doing today?
I'm doing great, actually.
Excellent. I love your
Actually,
energy.
thank you. Yeah. There's no reason to not be great. There
There you
really
go.
isn't.
There you
You know,
go. I love that attitude. I love that
yeah.
attitude. And with that being said, it's an excellent segue into my first official question, which is, what is your spiritual energy number right now from being 0 being life sucks to 10 being life is awesome?
I would say a 10. I would say a 10. You know, I like today I just received my nomination for World Entertainment Awards. And so they send you a nice plaque. So I just and it's for social justice or social it's the best social awareness award. There you go. Awareness. Yeah. For one of my
Excellent.
songs. So
Excellent.
yeah, I'm not on now I'm really on a 10.
Excellent. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
One of the things that really, I would say, had me really interested in doing this interview with you, having you on the show, when I got a chance to read your bio and your press kit, was how you are someone who believes in core values and let that kind of govern your life, of being a mentor, as a guide, and someone who also believes in giving. So
Yeah.
all those are the key qualities that I look for in a person, and are they kind, and I believe
Yeah.
I never, we don't know each other, but that helps frame kindness in my
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
So it's a pleasure to have you on the show, and welcome to the King Connections podcast.
Thanks, King. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. You have the right spirit too, and I really enjoyed our our pre-conversations and it's just good to know that there's great people in the world, you know?
Absolutely.
And brother, you showing up like that.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And that's really how I really live my life. And I really look at it as being my purpose in life. Like you see here on my diagram, I believe when I call in the connecting with intent, and I
Yes.
came up with this formula, which is strategy plus connections plus systems plus value equals social capital first. And then social capital generates the financial capital. So it's through those relationships that we have that. And what I've learned is that it's more important to build connections with people who you have things in alignment with,
That's right.
not so much what you have in common with. That's one that I say. A friend of mine wrote a book called um, America's False Narratives, and I say one of the
Mm,
false narratives that we live under, and we've been told, and we still live our lives under, is this false narrative about race
you're right.
and the fact that you build with people who you have things in common with. They'll say, you should meet this person. You all have a lot in common. And I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. I could have been in Baltimore where I have been doing my business for a while. I could have a neighbor on my block who's a black man like myself, we're both in our 50s, and more than likely we're going to enjoy the same type of music. We're probably going to enjoy sports. So those are things we actually going to have in common. But if we were able to sit down and talk about building something, co-creating something,
Yeah.
I don't think we would gel just based off what we have in common. If
Right.
our core principles are not aligned, like mine is about service, growth mindset, gaining wisdom, being kind. If that's being
Yeah.
connecting to the energy of love, and that's not how he's thinking,
Right.
then we're not going to be able to build anything.
Exactly. That's a really great distinction. Really great distinction. I love it. I love it. It's like we may have things in common, but if we're not in alignment with our core values and they're going different directions, good luck.
Exactly.
Good luck.
Exactly. And I can't speak for you, but I know in my life I've had a lot of relationships, and I was always told, yeah, find someone you have things in common with.
Mm,
Especially we were not in alignment, and that's why it
mm.
didn't work out.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
not to say one of us were bad people. I'm not blaming her or anything. It's just that
Right.
were not in alignment. And as I gotten older, I look for that,
Yeah. Yeah.
and ask that initial question. The reason I ask that question is because people who answer anything below 5 are not going to be present. They're not going to be engaged. It's not going to be a good conversation. And it's
Exactly.
like we would just be wasting each other's time.
Looking for your Gucci shoes.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh
So
man.
you being a 10 is just great. It sets the atmosphere for our conversation. I know that we're going to have a great discussion. And I look forward to that. So with that being said, what I'd like you to do is you have such a wonderful bio, such an extensive bio. Author, like I said, Grammy nominated, as well. I mean, artist as well as an author, as well as someone who believes in doing mission service type
Yeah.
behaviors. I call them in your life.
Yeah.
With one tree, somebody buys something, your book, you plant a tree. Can you explain that quickly?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
just take that.
Yeah. And thank you for asking. I've always been a philanthropic style of human being, like, through my whole life. I mean, from, like, rescuing animals in my neighborhood to, it's like it's just something I've done, and I believe in that, and, just that's just my heart, and, I decided about, um, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, like, what else could I do that could make an impact with something that really serves humanity, okay? So it's not just serves me or serves the local community, but something that could, like, support all of us. And then how could I inspire somebody to step into their power and then have them take something on or partner with me? So my passion, my love is, and it's more than just, um, I'm going to give to the charity over here. It's more than that. It's more of like, I love the environment, and I think we're all really uneducated about the environment and how it works and how it works inside of us and how we're connected to animals and how we're connected to the oceans. Like, all these things that we're not, it's just not freely, you'd have to be kind of curious, but it's just not taught in schools, like, what, if the oceans die, we're next, and it's like, what, that, like, those are things that I've been involved with, and I want to help raise awareness, but I also want to say, hey, look, I'm an artist, I sing about these things, I support these things, support me, and then I support you, and I'll take $1 off of each item, each product that I sell. I have merchandise, I have my books, I have my music, whatever turns you on. And then you can say, hey, I support this artist that's actually in action, which is what I do. And then I get to be a part of it. It's like, yeah, it's just $1. It's way cheaper than a cup of coffee. You know what I'm saying, these days. And
Absolutely.
and then you're supporting an artist, a woman, someone that is out there going, I really want to make a difference. I'm really doing it. And so it's great. So right now I planted about 400 trees.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's really exciting. So I can see who buys. So it pops in and it goes, oh, okay, so and so. And then I go, okay, there's another one. And I wait till I get to about 20 and then I go spend the money.
I
So
love it. I love it. I just really, it would be great if more people thought like
yeah,
and more people function in that kind of mindset. And that's why I advocate really building a tribe. I call it a love energy tribe
I love
of
it.
people who you're aligned with, and you all can do great things together. Like
Yeah,
co-create around initiatives like that. And I just think that's wonderful. And what it does, again, speaking for myself, it gives me that spiritual fulfillment
yeah,
that you normally wouldn't get just from engaging
absolutely.
and a
And
commerce
and
transaction.
connection, like,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And connection, it's like you get to find out what you have in common with somebody, and beyond that, like, oh,
exactly,
you get to find out, oh, that's a value of theirs, you know?
exactly.
And it's fun because you get new relationships, you get to find out different cultures, different ways of people doing things, and you're helping yourself. People don't know, it's like, when I give to you, I'm actually helping myself, and I don't think people think from that. It's like, oh, well, I've been giving to somebody else, and it's going out. Well, yeah, the energy is going out, but it's usually coming back in some way,
Absolutely,
you know,
absolutely.
and it may not be the way you think, it may not be dollar to dollar,
No,
right now, with my intent behind that was, hey, I'm doing this thing anyway.
mm,
Let's inspire people to jump in. And, it's like, and then I get to say, and you help me plant some trees that we actually need, you
ab-
know? So,
absolutely.
yeah. And it's awesome. I love it. I love it.
Well, I love that you do that. I wanted to highlight that, because I believe people like yourself, attention should be brought to that for a variety of reasons. One in particular is that I support that cause as well. So
Yeah.
more
We,
environmentally conscious is great. One of my pet peeves is to see people litter. Period. To me,
yeah.
not only litter, but now you're going to throw out things that are not recyclable that just help destroy the earth. That makes it even worse. So to see someone taking action beyond that is just a great thing. And
Yeah.
it really, for me, gets those endorphins going in my mind when I connect with somebody and they have a giving spirit and they're living life. They're 10, having 3 or 4 conversations like that per day. It just gives you a wonderful day. You know,
Yeah, I think so. And it's definitely a choice,
Ab-
I mean, we all have issues. We all have bad days. We all have, struggles that we're going through, challenges, it's nobody's untouched, you know. Um, and it's a choice. It's You can sit back and you can say, I'm going to be an ass today, or I'm going to be happy today, or whatever. Even if you have to fake it till you make it. And it really works, it really does. And then you can just, and especially, and I know, like you're living into something, right? You're
yeah,
living into your intent.
yeah,
You're living into how you want to really see the world evolve and change and uplift, and you're doing it in your way. So guess what? You can do Other people can do that too.
absolutely,
You
absolutely.
just got to find it, and you got to dig within to do that.
And you got to want it. You got to have
Yeah.
the desire to want to do something. And one of the things I look for when I meet people is one of the key questions I ask is, "What is your purpose in life?"
Mm, 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 mm.
What I've learned by asking that question, I'm talking that's one of the first 3 questions I'm asking, is one of 3 things going to happen. If they don't know their purpose, that's fine. If they don't know their purpose and they don't care, then, you know, that gives me all the answers I need right there. Like, I haven't really thought about that question, and that's just not really that important to me. To give me an
Oh.
answer like that, then it's like we don't really need to talk anymore beyond that because we're not going to see eye to eye or alignment on anything beyond that. And I look at, for me, my purpose is to serve.
Yeah.
Now, how I serve depends on where I am in my life, what I'm doing, where I'm vibrating, all that,
Yeah.
how I serve.
Yeah.
But service is a key part of it. And
Yep.
then once I connect to that energy of doing what I do as a service, and again, I call myself a spiritual capitalist. Yes, I want to make money from it, but I want to give you value as well. I want to be able to uplift.
Yeah.
I want you to feel that you got more than what you paid for.
Yeah.
And see, that's the goal. And that's why I like to connect with people like yourself who are vibrating like that. And you worth more than 10 other conversations or 20 other conversations with people where it's only going to be transaction based.
Yeah.
They have a
Yeah.
need, I have a service. Now we just trying to negotiate what we consider to be fair for that exchange. And that's
Right.
not fulfilling for either one of us. It's like
No.
going to the dentist. You got to go there, but no one looks forward to going to the dentist. There's nothing to slight dentists, but it's just one of those experiences that most people don't look forward to because there's
Yeah.
pain associated with it.
Yeah.
So, now, one of the things I want to talk about in the show today is definitely cover some key questions. And I came up with questions and I put them in categories to really kind of set the context of our discussion. And the first category is what I want to talk about is your foundation and your inspiration. So, with that being said, your book emphasizes courage and taking bold action. Things I resonate with as well.
Yeah.
How does that concept, or how does the concept of connecting with intent, where I advocate, how does that play a role in finding one's inner fire and purpose? Would you say?
Yeah. Well, it really started out with clarity,
Mm.
because and I broke it down. I said, what, how do I get through the trials that I'm going through? How do I have the things that I want? Like, those were the questions I started asking. And then I stepped back and I saw how I did that. And I went, okay, well, you have to be clear about who you are and what you want. What you're driving to. Like with you and I, our clarity is around service. We're both in service. And there's a whole litany that's underneath service. What does that mean for you? So I say, you got to be clear, got to take a moment, take a breath, and really look and see, why am I here? Like, ask those hard questions. And it may not just come like instantly. It's not do you need to work at the gas station down the street? It's all wax on, wax off, right? We all have that moment. I did that when I got off the road from singing. I worked with a mentor person of mine, and she said, come and clean my house. I went from stage singing with makeup on to cleaning toilets. Okay. So, she helped me go at one point. I think it was in the end of the month or something. It was like I was there for like 4 weeks, just going, why am I doing this? Um, and it was like, oh, I need money. No, and all of a sudden that she came around the corner and she said, okay, stop. And she said, what do you want?
Mm.
And I had to like really be honest with myself. And I said, well, I got off the road because I really wanted to write music and I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to write really good music, you know? She goes, okay, this is your assignment. I go, she goes, you have 3 weeks. You need to write a song. It's going to be on TV and at New Year's. And I was like, what?
Wow.
This was in Portland, right? Portland, Oregon. And so that set me off on my journey, and she just really helped me. So going back to that helped me get clear, like give me clarity. Then after you're clear about what you want, and these are the things that I wrote about, and I give you examples of my failures and then eventual triumphs. Then after clarity, then you start to go, okay, I have the courage to like do that, which gave me courage. That gave me, okay, oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna go talk to a good friend of mine that's a fabulous musician, and I think he's perfect for co-writing the song with me. It was called Change. And so I had the courage, and he was kind of big deal, so, and I wasn't a big deal. And you know how it is, right?
Absolutely.
And you look up to them too. They're like, oh, they're really good and they're really inspiring. And so that gave me the courage. I stepped into courage. And guess what? Then after a while, I start having confidence. Then you start to build that confidence. That's how it's like, oh, I can do that again. Oh, I can ask somebody else. Oh, I can do that again. And then you get your confidence. And then once you're through those 3 stages, then you can step into commitment. I love this. I'm so good. I'm just going to keep going. Now I got some commitment behind what I'm doing. And people see it. They'll go, wow, she just keeps doing that thing. I can't believe how old is she? And then after you have that commitment, guess what? You can have community because they know who you are. And they're either going to, like you say, they're either going to be in alignment with you in your intentions or they're not. And that helps you know, yeah, actually I don't want to play with that person, you know, or I don't need to be associated with that because that's not in alignment with my core values. Like that's just not happening. So anyway, that's kind of how that started.
Excellent. See, I heard connections in there. I heard mentorship in there. I heard guidance and advice in there. I heard focus on creating value, leveraging your network. I heard a lot of things in there that are, well, as a cornerstone to success, a lot of people don't realize
Yeah.
that you took, someone gave you an opportunity and you took advantage of the opportunity.
Yes.
You could have not delivered.
Exactly.
You could have went home and found excuses, found reasons to justify why you don't get to meet her deadline, and came back and asked for an extension. All those
Exactly.
type of things,
Exactly. The
which
extension.
you would have lost a lot of credibility in her eyes, possibly. But you push yourself through, and that's the courage I see you're talking about and taking bold action. That's a
Yes.
wonderful story. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Now, my next question is: you've had a dynamic music career in music mentorship and advocacy. What personal experience inspired you to write your book, Courage, Find Your Fire, and Ignite Action in Your life?
Yeah, I was standing in my kitchen and a girlfriend of mine said to me, "You're a badass goddess." And I was like, "What?" And the first thing I noticed about myself was I was like, "Oh, no, 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 no. I don't want to, accept that compliment or whatever that is. I'm not sure." And I stopped myself and I said, "What are you doing? Like, you're stopping this person complimenting you because that's how they see you. Accept it with grace and ease."
Mm.
And so I did. And then I stepped back and I went and looked. I said, "Okay, well, what does that mean for me?" And so I redesigned what bad means: beautiful, accessible, daring, available, like things like that. I created an acronym out of it, but I changed it. So badass not mean I'm going to go beat somebody up and kick their. And so that started that. Then as I was going down the way, I started my podcast around that and a magazine and all this other stuff. And then a friend of mine was had said, I was talking to him and he's like, "Oh yeah, I've been writing my book for 10 years." And I'm like, 10 years? That doesn't like fall in alignment with my let's get this done,
Right, right.
overachiever. I thought, how hard could it be to write a book? And so I gave myself a goal. I said, "Well, what do you want to write about?" And I said, "Okay, well, what are the things that I'm sharing? What is the value that I have that I'm actually been offering? People have been listening. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to talk about it. Okay, what is that? Oh, well, it's the journey of my life. How did I actually get over these problems, get over these challenges, get over my mind? How do I get over this?" Right? And then I started clarity, courage, confidence, commitment, community, right? All that stuff started coming. And I did a quick outline, like, I don't know how many chapters, I can't remember now, like 10 chapters or something. I started out with 12 chapters. And I said, I'm going to do a chapter a day. We're going to see. Right.
I love
So,
it. I love it.
and so I did. I wrote the book in 15 days.
Wow.
But here's the caveat with that. So I ended up having to go back and you have to reread it and you have to make sure that, it makes sense and there's no run-on sentences. And since then I have realized not every author, not every book is the same, because this was my experience. I was calling up from my experience, and this is how you can move past that conflict, right? So I was writing from that place. I wasn't writing from, oh, I need to do research. I need, like all these deep things that you have to do. So I took all that back.
You've been a vessel.
That's
Let
right.
it flow through you.
That's
Absolutely.
right. That's right. That's right.
I love the fact that you said you chose to write a book. Write a chapter a day. That's just phenomenal. That's just a way of thinking. Because I'm actually writing a book myself, and that's something I'm going to incorporate. And that's what I really love about when you have an opportunity to truly connect with someone.
Yeah.
Where there's communication,
Yes.
co-communication, right?
Yes.
As opposed to just listening and being respectful and being patient, but not really being engaged.
Yeah.
Because then you learn something for that. So I just got a valuable nugget, from our conversation. And that's something that will, I'm gonna look to help change my life, and I'm gonna share it with others once I do it.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be a source where I got it from, but that is how it trickles down to impact
Yes.
other people. And
Yes.
like you have behind you, I believe it's impactful stories.
Yes.
You know, and see that's an impactful story. And I see the value of having impactful stories and sharing them.
Yeah.
So just
Thank you.
right there, you're living,
Thank you.
and that's what I see true integrity in that
Yeah.
kind of things.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, and you just getting to know you, you have so much to share. Like from your perspective, you have great ways of really talking about your values and stuff and how that works. I'm excited to read your book. So
Well, thank you,
and
thank
I
you.
can't say that about everybody.
Well, thank you. Going through that transformation is key. So that's what alignment is, right?
Yes.
And I just want to say this quickly, that the pandemic really put me in a position of doing a podcast, because I'm a
Wow.
connector in general,
Yeah.
and I will connect with people, but it will always be in person, always be geographically within traveling distance in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
And pandemic forced me to have to get on YouTube, LinkedIn, or I'm sorry, Zoom, and make these connections with strangers from all around the world.
Yep.
And so it's easy to schedule a meeting with somebody, but then to get on the meeting and be present. Because see,
Yeah.
when you meet someone in person, people tend to just take that for granted. They might be on their phone for the first few minutes. They might be talking to the waiters, other things to distract you, really being paying attention and really being locked into the conversation. But
Yeah.
when you get on Zoom and you looking there in the person's camera and looking back at you, you're locked in,
That's right.
right? And to do that with a total stranger who you have no idea other than you read their bio, is that takes a while to really conceptualize your mind. How do I really want to approach this?
Yeah.
That's why it became so important to me to figure out very quickly, have an alignment phone call, and be able to ascertain what information I can get without being too intrusive, but being direct enough to the point where
Yeah.
I can figure out if this person worth building with, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how I look at. I'm at a stage in my life right now, my age, where building is how I look at everything. I want to build. I want to create. So every
Yeah.
relationship, does it fit that purpose? And if it
Yeah.
doesn't, then I don't want you in my. I don't want to bring your energy into my world.
No, it's brilliant.
You know, and that's what I like about you. You're in that same space, but then
Yeah.
you are writing, and you're sharing through your artistry who you are and how you feel that helps and impacts other people.
Yeah.
And through that self discovery and leadership is where I want to go. My
Mm.
next excellent questions. I know in your book you talk about clarity, courage, confidence, commitment, and community. You said that here earlier as well. Which of these elements do you think is the most essential for someone looking to build meaningful, fully human connections?
Clarity with self.
Hmm.
Real simple. You gotta know who you are. It's that whole Greek thing, know thyself.
Yes, yes.
It's it's a box inside of a box inside of a box. You just gotta keep looking and looking and looking, and you have to get straight about stuff. I mean, you have to get really straight, like, do I like my life? Do I like the people in my life? Why did I attract them? It's not coming outside in, it's going inside out. You're designing your world. You're creating your world. It's how you see. It's your perspective, right? So, if you come to the conversation with, I don't really know myself very well, but I'm upset and I'm angry. And oh, I'm never going to get that parking place, or it's always going to be packed, or oh my God, there are assholes all around me. Well, guess what? That's what's going to show up.
Hmm.
So it starts with clarity. That's my belief. That's you got to be clear, and it's every day. It's not like one and done.
Hmm.
It's like it's everyday evolution. You know, it really is. Because who I was 10 minutes ago, 2 years ago, yeah, there's the core me, of course, but there's more of me because I practice these things, because I am in service and I'm clear about that. And whatever I have to offer, I do, even if it's just a kind word or opening somebody's door, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, just such profound wisdom in what you're saying. Because as you say, clarity, I also believe that your identity and how you see yourself determines everything in life, right?
Yeah.
And what I mean by that, particularly in these times where we are right now, where we're forced into tribalization based off our race, our gender, sexual orientation, politics, religion, etc. And what I've learned is that if you identify by one of those groups and you self-identify by that yourself as your main primary identity, then you're putting yourself in an opportunity to be a victim of all the uh, I would say issues or whatever it is, biases associated with that particular identity. Like so if I grew up most of my life, earlier life, identifying seeing my identity as a black man.
Right.
So in seeing myself in that identity, I'm accepting all the biases. And then I
Yeah.
gotta try to live through those biases. Even though I didn't create them, I gotta try to outlive those biases in people's minds because that's my identity. Then
Yeah.
I got older, I realized my identity was more about my career. So now I'm an
Interesting.
engineer. So now I want to identify by that. Then I began, as I got older, that I want to identify by my purpose in life.
Yeah.
And that brought clarity to me. Because now I'm like, okay, my identity is to be a fully human. That's who I
Yes.
identify. And
Oof.
once I identify that way, I see others that way initially. But when I meet people who identify by their race and all that, then I know they're boxed in, and I know what your perspective is going to be before you even say it. You
Yeah.
know, I know
Yeah.
what triggers you before you even say it.
Yeah.
You know, but
Yeah.
when you identify as a human being, you don't know what triggers me. I
Right.
don't see myself as I don't see myself as a victim.
Exactly.
You know, a black man is one of the characteristics to identify me, but that's not my primary one, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you say clarity, that is
Oof.
what resonates with me is really seeing things in that perspective because then we can really you don't have to walk on eggshells and be careful what you say and all these things because you might hurt my feelings.
Right.
I see myself as a human being and you as a human being,
Yeah.
we're gonna make mistakes. I
Yeah.
don't hold you accountable for that mistake that you've made because I'm not
Yeah.
judging you. I don't see the victim. So that's where all that comes into play. So I'm glad you said clarity first. I just wanted to,
Oof.
you know, discuss that because
Wow, those are just those that was gold right there, what you just described, because that's how I feel too, you know? I really feel that way. I just and if we could get inside of clarity and get inside of like you said, identifying as your purpose. You know, then those things of like, "Oh, I'm a woman, you're a guy, I'm black, I'm white, I'm Asian,"
right,
you know, it's markers, 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 put me in boxes, 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 and then all of a sudden, we can get triggered if we're in that box, "Oh,
exactly,
they're after us.
exactly,
Oh, that's gonna oh, and then we're off to the races with the fear. And,
exactly,
"Whoa, here we go," and then everybody's shutting their doors now,
right,
that's what they want you to do because if we're separate, we can't come together and create something amazing.
exactly, exactly. We're living in fear and doubting and hating the things
Yeah,
we don't understand. And you
for
know
what?
what, right? And the engineering me always breaks things down to what's the
Mm,
value of that.
mm, mm,
Like,
mm,
do I
mm.
get value for that? Like, if I hate someone because of their race, because of their gender, because of their sexual orientation, that means I've given that person the power that every time I see a person that fits that description, negative energy is in my head.
Right?
Which means I'm not creating, I'm not doing anything
That's right.
generative. I'm not being kind, which is what I believe is my true nature. Now I'm thinking about hateful things. Why I hate this person.
Right,
I'm
right.
judge them.
You
So
you're
they're
like, "I don't
in
know
my
them.
thoughts. I don't even know them,
I
right?
don't even know them."
Exactly. They're walking down the street having their best life, and my day is ruined over something I created in my mind that's not to my benefit.
Bingo.
You know,
Ding, ding, ding,
so
ding, 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 ding.
so you got me,
Print that.
you got me on my soapbox there for a minute.
No, it's all I'm the same way, man. I just love it. I love it. I love that. Oh,
Now,
that springs out freedom.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Mm,
absolutely. And for the leaders and entrepreneurs who are my network, who are watching the show, uh, how can they find courage, which means stepping into the unknown? We talked about before, because to find that clarity, you have to go through a period of vulnerability, I believe.
yeah.
What strategy do you recommend for embracing fear and using it as fuel for action?
Well, I starting with the whole clarity thing, I think what happens is, I'll just use myself as an example, I guess that'd be better. When I start to feel fearful from something, I step back and I remind myself, well, it's my purpose. Why am I here? What's my mission? That type of thing, right? I gotta just step back and go, oh, and then I go, oh, that's a lie. Oh, okay. Do you have any evidence? No. You just have hearsay. Oh, okay. Yeah, a lot of people died from hearsay. So no, it's like I become an adult for myself, for that little person that's inside going, oh no, I help myself bring it on back down. Don't put it in a corner. Don't shove it in a box. Don't ignore it. Just address it and then talk yourself out of it, right? And then break whatever you're doing. So if I was on the computer and I saw email or something like that and just sent me through and I'm afraid and I'm angry now or whatever, I go, get up, walk away and go read something or go see something inspirational or you know what I'm saying? It's like address it, then go do something, shift the energy, shift the vibration. Once you do that, it shifts and then you can reboot and then you're in control of yourself again. Otherwise you're not in control. But
Absolutely.
you have to talk to yourself. Hopefully that answered your question.
No, it does. It does, because I think it's important that people understand that they're not alone. You're not the only person that's going through what you're going through, have gone through what you're going through, or about to go through what you're going through. And so that's where having a mentor comes into play, and being able to ask someone who's lived the life, how they handle it and what you just laid out, and understand how to shift their energy and deal with fear. That's critical. And so thank you for definitely sharing that.
Yeah.
We've reached a point of the show that we want to go ahead and thank our sponsor. So we're going to play a video for our sponsor, then we're going to connect and get right back on it on the other side. So bear with me.
The playbook for growing a local business online is simple. Capture new leads, conversationally convert those leads into sales, turn those customers into positive reviews, and then reactivate those customers into repeat buyers. And that's exactly what our platform does. In order to consistently generate new leads, you first need to be found. The quickest way to get search engines like Google to put your business at the top of search results is by having a steady flow of positive reviews. With our platform, you can show up in search and stand apart from your local competition by easily collecting new customer reviews through text. But getting found is only the beginning. Most consumers choose the first business that responds to them. So unless you start conversations with potential customers almost instantly, they'll go somewhere else. That's why we make starting conversations with website visitors as easy as clicking a button, connecting you instantly through text message so the conversation doesn't end when they leave your website. And we bring all your leads, no matter where they come from, into a single conversation stream that supports text, email, video messaging, Google Business Chats, and even Facebook and Instagram DMs, so you can respond faster and more efficiently than ever. When it comes to turning all those conversations into customers, we make collecting payments just another convenient part of the combo, so you get paid faster no matter how they prefer to pay. Next, you'll want to turn your new customers into happy reviews, which is a snap with our new review request quick actions. The more conversations and customers you generate, the easier it becomes to drive repeat business. We make reactivating contacts into customers as easy as, yup, you guessed it, the push of a button. With bulk actions, you can send out text and email campaigns to to generate new sales whenever you have a new update, promotion, or story to tell. We make modern online marketing simple. Let's start growing your business today.
And we're back. Thank you all for that opportunity to play for our sponsor. So, picking back where we left off, again, I'm under the mindset of always connecting with intent. Like this movie, Glenn Ross, that came out about sales. There was this great line of "always be closing" was kind of mindset they were trying to instill in that movie, and I shifted that acronym to say "always be connecting." And that's what I believe, that you should have that kind of mindset, connecting with intent. And it's within that space. My next section of questions: creating meaningful connections is the context. How do you see the role of intentional relationships in personal and professional transformation?
Say that one more time. How do I feel about that?
How do you see the role of intentional relationships in personal and professional transformation?
I honestly think they're one and the same. Personal relationships and intentional business. I think that, I think that's how I see it.
And what do you see leaders? What can leaders do to cultivate deeper, more purposeful connections for your?
Yeah. Be authentic. I mean, just be yourself. I mean, know what you want to do when you get on a call. Have your own strategy, of course. What do you want? Be transparent. Let people know, why are we having this call? Don't, there's a way to, be connected and friendly and kind and professional. Like, you know what I'm saying? That you have to sort it for yourself. It's going to be your personality, but I just think the authenticity part of it is just, again, it all goes back to know yourself, like know your personality, know how it works for you, like sometimes don't show up to the call scared, because you're gonna act and react in weird ways, and it may not be who you really are, so be prepared, when you're connecting with somebody, and just bring I always just love to just bring who I am to the conversation. And if there's a connection or a way of working together on some level, it'll make itself known. I just had one of those interactions. I took this woman to coffee, and she was really empowered and impassioned about the work that I was doing. And, the first thing, and I always listen to what people talk about. So the first thing that she kept talking about was her lateness and this and that and all the whatever. And I got her intention, and I got that she cares. And I got that I'm not available to do tons of hand holding when people have issues. You have to deal with your issues first. Like, her issue was she's late. She wanted to tell me that a lot. Well, that's good. That's good, because I have a tendency as a business owner to give people chances, because I believe that everybody can do it, and yet there are barriers to their greatness. So I have to realize that, okay, the things that I need aren't going to work with her, because there's going to be barriers to her greatness. I don't have time for that. Not to say that she's not worth it, not to say that she's not a wonderful, amazing, talented person. I just can't put myself in harm's way, so to speak, because she's going to be late all the time, or I've got to have people show up their greatness, because that reflects on my greatness, you see? And I see that with you too, because you want to have your best foot forward, and you want to have the best clients, interviewees, whatever, you want to have that, because that reflects on your channel.
Absolutely.
And right. And that's important, because that's your intention, right?
Yeah.
You're driving the ship. So if you got throw some people on here and they don't care, well, how fun is that?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. We've been talking for now 44 minutes, and I'm going to ask you to do something that most people do typically in the beginning of the show. And I'm going to ask you to kind of list your accomplishments, like a bio of your life that you feel is relevant for our conversation.
Okay.
And the reason I'm asking you at this point in the show is what I wanted to show people, that when you connect with someone, you can just start off having a very interesting conversation about being authentic, being your true self. And then the question of, well, what do you do come into play later on? Starting off with, what do you do? Tell me about yourself.
I like
It's
that.
like, that's such a weird question for someone to ask,
Right.
because it's so much, if you're a person who's done a lot of things in your life, which you have,
Yeah.
tell me about yourself.
Yeah.
What do you start with? Do I start with, I'm Grammy nominated? Do I start with, I'm an author? Do I start with the first song I've written? Do I start with, how do you, because you only got 15 seconds, 15 seconds to really keep their attention, unless they're generally curious, then they'll
Yeah.
stay in and engage. But the process I wanted to go through first was genuine curiosity. Let's have a discussion. We realize we actually do like talking to one another. So now when I ask about your bio, I'm truly interested in hearing what you have to say.
Great. I'm a person that cares. I've always been that person. No matter what I do, I always care about what I'm doing and who I'm doing it with. So I would say that, and I stepped back at some point and I really saw that the journey within was the key, and to understand myself and to share that and to be of service. So whatever that looks like, I mean, like I was saying earlier, it could be opening a door, it could be bringing meals to Meals on Wheels, which I did for a while, even when I couldn't afford it, like I really honestly couldn't afford to be driving around taking care of older folks, but but that's okay, because that's what I was impassioned to do. So, and that's just really led me to one thing after another. So that means my very first song I ever, that I got paid for was a wedding, and I got $60. I'm still getting $60. No, I'm joking. Um, and then because I love what I did, and it was my on the mat growing. So I toured, I toured with my bands for a good 15, 20 years. And that means touring for me at the time was performing every night, 5 hours a night, one day off, and usually driving. So, and I played all over the world, Japan, Korea, Taiwan. I mean, we could just Canada, all over the US. And my I realized, part of my in-service after it's kind of like school, when you're working your muscle of like performing, and I'm singing and taking voice lessons and all these things, you're doing all that. And then you get to the next level, right? The next level is, well, I really want to write my own music. I really want to make a difference. Okay. What does that look like? Okay, here we go. So that's kind of how it went. And then at some point, I've done a lot of, had a lot of different wins, I guess, a lot of different trials, mom's passing away, and I'm an only child. So feeling like I'm on my own, it just because I'm a happy person doesn't mean that I don't have issues. Doesn't mean I don't have, but I know how to help myself through it. So, and I've had to reach out to different things to get those tools. So, and then nobody gets past that. We all have to figure it out. We all have to get tools. We all have to, to really make a contribution to share it with others. So I think, this is a weird bio. This is not just the facts. But it does paint a picture for me of my journey. And always my intent is to uplift and give back to people, no matter what I'm doing. If it's a book, if it's just showing up, if it's, animals, if it's, donating money, if it's performance, getting an award, and then at some point, I think like 3 years ago, I joined the Recording Academy. I was honored to be accepted, I should say. And then, now year 3, I've been nominated. So, that it's like, it's life, right? So then all of a sudden they go like this. You go, wow, okay, I didn't know about that. Oh, okay. There are 2 Grammy Awards, not just one, the one that you see on CBS at 5 o'clock. So, you know, and I did, and I'm a musician and I didn't know that. I was like, what? You know, oh, there's a pre-show. The pre-show goes through all the awards. So, you know, people would pass out if it was, you know, but that's for, and what people don't understand, maybe some not, but the Grammys is part of the Recording Academy. It is an industry award. So I'm being nominated or wins through my community. It's not, has nothing to do with the public. So you just get to watch it and watch all the drama. You get to watch Kanye West show up with his wife and show her breasts.
Completely naked. Yeah, she's, yeah. Well,
strategic.
And you know, you mentioned that. I can tell you that, first of all, again, congratulations on being nominated. You know, it's not every day. I don't think, you know, I'm 55. I've never met anyone else who's been nominated for a Grammy.
Right.
You know, so that's a rarity within itself. But in being nominated, you know, and having a career that you've had, you know, you're also a mentor, and you mentor women on self-expression and empowerment.
Yes.
What are some of the biggest mindset shifts that help individuals step into their full potential?
I'm going to say willingness. Willingness, because I have another example. So I have a young woman out of college, and I'm Grammy University, and I mentor. And that was one of the things that I mentored. So I sent her a contract. It's my gift. So, but I've learned. So I sent her a contract saying, these are the things that I expect, and these are the things, you know, that you need to show up for. Please sign that. She did, no problem. And then after that, it was excuse after excuse after excuse after excuse. She could never show up. And I'm like, I'm doing this for you. It's like, I don't even know what you want. We haven't even got to the first conversation. And so anyway, I had to let it go. And I had to tell the Recording Academy, I'm sorry, she never showed up, you know, and that's okay. But you know, I'm not going to waste my time waiting around for somebody that's not showing up, because it's for them, you know. So you have to have the willingness. You have to, like, I'm willing, I'm committed to this. And by howdy, what does that mean? Because commitment just means you're showing up. That is your word, right? Your word, meaning that's where the power is. I am committed to X. You need to show up. And if you can't, you be in communication about it, you know, and not just kicking the can communication, you know. And that was another thing too. I said, this is part of the training. I said, look, when you email me back and you don't call me and you email me, you say, I can't make this date. And so when I said, okay, fine. And I said, well, you need to give me dates as options back. Stop with the emailing back and forth, wasting time. You have to send me the options, because I don't know. I'm not psychic. I don't know what your schedule's like, right? So just let me know. So it's those kind of things. You have to bring the willingness. You have to bring the commitment. You have to show up.
You know, that's so important. I think that gets undervalued, because again, you learn so much in business. I look at it from my perspective. I learned that all money is not good money. And I also learned that, why, to your point about willingness to show up, that there's always a consequence to every action, regardless of whatever it is, right?
Yes.
And the consequence, not only of them not showing up, they don't get to fulfill, because now they've withdrawn from your emotional bank account their integrity. So that's damaged in your mind.
Oof. This is
and
good.
Then your time is wasted that you don't get back.
Yeah.
So you put in time. It's not just for the hour that you're going to meet, but the preparation for it, the
Yeah.
drive there, the mental. Let me get present. Let me get engaged. All that. And
That's
then when a
right.
person show up late or not show up fully ready is really an insult to that whole process.
Yes.
So it has taught me throughout the years
Mm.
two things that, and I learned it very painfully this lesson. I would say
Mm.
because like you, when you have a good heart and you care and you want to help others and you want to serve, you have to find that balance between thinking you can help everybody that
Mm.
needs it or only help the ones that deserve it.
Yeah.
And then find that discernment in that, right?
Yeah.
So charging people an upfront fee that's really worth your time, not what they can afford,
Right.
makes that willingness there. A person who's going to pay $5,000, $10,000, they're going to show up. They're going to be willing because they want to make sure
That's
they
right.
get a return on that investment.
That's
For
right.
someone who may be paying, let's say, $100 or less or free,
Right.
then yeah, they have all the intention in the world to show up. They mean well, but when life gets in the way, then you just get pushed to the side because
Goes out the window.
you're not
Yeah.
that important.
Yeah.
Whatever came in their life is more important and justifies them being late or them not being ready or them not being prepared. So thank you for sharing that because I think that's so important because I read so many people. YouTube is one of my favorite channels. I watch YouTube more than anything else, mainly
Me too.
because I can learn from it. I can choose the content I want.
That's right.
But then I want to read a lot of the comments. I like reading the first level of comments, right? Just kind of see what people are thinking. And I'm amazed when people put a great YouTube video together,
Yeah.
teaching how to do a specific task or tool or great advice, and someone would say, "Well, you didn't teach this, so can you teach that too?" And it's like this was free. Where's the grace and just accepting the fact that this person's giving you something? But now, so I never understood how people can want someone help me make money for free.
Yeah.
So I don't want you to make any money, but I want you to help me make money
That's right.
and
That's
think
right.
that something's going to come from that's going to be generative as far as the energy and how the universe works, right?
Yeah.
So, got me a little diatribe there because you tapped into something that
Yeah.
I feel that in doing business, I believe in when you see value, the question is, can I get a return on that investment?
Yeah.
Now, if I can get a return, then I want you to be fully engaged. I want you to be there as my mentor, as my teacher. And I see the value that you bring. Like you have
Mm-hmm.
walked the walk. You've been there. You've sat at certain tables. There's a value for your wisdom. There's a value for your experience that someone who is looking to write a book or looking to become a recording artist can benefit from what you can actually provide them.
Yeah.
I've been in real estate. I'll just share this quick story and I'll get back to my next question. And real estate is really an industry where knowledge or lack of knowledge is really people take advantage of. But the industry culture is to take advantage of your lack of knowledge.
Hmm.
From when you talk to the realtor and there it goes to show you a house, they don't really explain to you the real process that you're hiring all the other people. So they just think that let me refer you to a lender. Let me refer you to my contractor.
Right. Right.
And thinking that they're doing you a favor. No, these referrals, they get a kickback for that.
That's right.
And they might not be the best people for you, but that's their referral. And then the lender is going to charge you points based on your
Mm-hmm.
ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
Contractor is going to charge you more based on your ignorance. So your ignorance is something that gets taken advantage of throughout the whole process. And it behooves people to pay for a mentor because if you don't pay for a mentor, you're going to pay for money and lose money with the mistake.
That's right.
You can't get around it. You're not going to just do a perfect deal the first time and not have any issues. So I say all that to say is that's one of the lessons I want people to really understand, that when you have an opportunity to talk to someone who has walked the fire, paid the dues, has the knowledge, and then taking the time to put it together in a framework that can be taught and help you guide, there's a value, and you shouldn't look at how can I get that for free.
Right.
You should look at how can, like you talked about the story of the woman who said, well, you got 30 days to give me a book. Like I said earlier, you could have came back with, well, and been justifiably in your mind. So, but here's the reason I couldn't get it done in 30 days. I got 3/4 of the book ready. Or I got, I got this song. I'm sorry, it was a song. I got this song, half of the song done, but not the hook. And I'm gonna get the hook done, and so that game, you wouldn't be who you are had you done that. That's not the road to becoming Grammy nominated.
No.
Right.
Correct.
And so it's that taking action and impact is my next section of questions.
Yes.
And so in that journey, as a mentor, as an artist, how have you leveraged your network to create a not just personal success, but also collective impact for others, would you say?
Well, I think one of the things that I saw this year at the Grammys was I was really present to how magnificent people can be and how available people are, and that I would just need to reach out. But it also has to do with, it's not about how many people you contact, how many people you connect to. It's more, more, more. It's not like that. It's what is your intent? What are you aligned with? Because when I went down there, it was right before, the whole Diddy thing's been going down. And I was like, that is so disgusting. Like that part of the industry, which happens to be an aspect of the industry that is with the record companies, and it's pretty seedy and there's really naughty things happening. And so because I didn't have all the information, so there was a part of me that was like, do I really want to go down there and accept this nomination? I should just not. Like, I don't even want to be involved with these people. Like, I don't, and that was my ignorance, but I said, no, just keep going. And I ended up getting invited with some people that I had been networking with through the Academy. And I got invited to network with them in a beautiful scenario. It was like a party. And they were sharing the music. They were giving us food. It was just like really fabulous. And I met the most heart-centered, talented, kind, and successful human beings, like beyond what the nonsense that we see on TV. You always get to see the bad stuff, And I really realized that, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, just again, go within, ground in, get clear, go down there, and have your intentions be real clear about what I want to understand, what I want to know, the people I want to connect with, and it was just a really beautiful experience from people all over the world, like just loving conversations, present conversations, not, those conversations where you're talking to somebody and they're doing this.
Yes.
looking to talk to somebody else,
Yes.
And you're like, no, calm down, be present, be there, be, present with what's in front of you, and ascertain quickly, okay, if that's not in alignment with me, move along, but don't do this, or just be half there or whatever. So
Exactly.
that's my shift for that. So I'm rejuvenated. I'm back on deck, back online. And I really saw that it was community. Like I really got, if you line up with the right community, it's about community. It's about sharing and helping each other. And they were doing it. And I was like, thank you. Thank you. That's what I needed to see. That's what I needed to experience. The up aspect of that community. Not everybody's like that, but
no, you're absolutely right. I love you say community because again, I'm an advocate behind building tribes.
yes.
The importance of doing it intentionally.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're members of tribes, whether the tribe is from a family, your blood.
That's right.
You might even be, and I know speaking for myself, I'm not vibrating on the same frequency that most of my family is.
Yeah.
So they're not, like, I'm interested in growth mindedness.
Yes.
Right. I want to learn. One of my core goals is to be wiser tomorrow than I was the day before.
Yes.
Right. What books can I read? What videos can I watch? What person can I have a communication with and learn from to help me see because I really see the value in wisdom and gaining knowledge. and
Absolutely.
it helps me become a better person. That's what I really want to be. And being able to dialogue with someone that you're in line with is such an enriching conversation.
It is.
The time just goes by so
So
fast.
fast. Yeah.
And this has been an example of that. Like, the show is usually an hour long, mainly because an hour is where most people can agree to and say, okay, I can pay an hour for something,
Sure.
But then a lot of times the conversations go by so quickly that it's usually not even an hour. But I
Yeah.
have been on a call for an hour, and we really just halfway through my prepared questions,
Yeah.
and that's what I really love. I use the prepared questions really just as an outline,
Yeah.
and
And they're great questions too. Like I was like, okay, yeah, these are deep, thoughtful questions. Yeah.
thank you. But see, you're answering a lot of these questions without even me asking. That's how much alignment we are,
Yeah.
right? So I don't know how much time you have, but I can go a little longer if you do.
Sure.
Of now we can bring it to a
Sure.
close. Let me
Yeah.
know.
It's been
I
a
will be
it's been a
respectful of your time.
beautiful conversation. So
Yeah, I would definitely want to
yeah.
be respectful for your
Yeah.
time. Because like I said, I don't take it for granted that every conversation I have with someone on the podcast, I'm gonna enjoy it this much.
Okay. Yeah.
You know
I
what I'm
got you.
saying?
No, I
But
got
once we reach the podcast stage, I normally do enjoy it because I've done the alignment phone call, which you and I
you.
have had.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to at least enjoy it, but just the energy someone brings to a conversation, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I was alluding to before. When you get those Zoom calls, that energy is everything. When you don't know someone, they're a total stranger. They're not a referral, and
That's
you're
right.
sitting there, especially if someone is in another country.
Mm-hmm.
So now you gotta listen to the accent. Someone's hearing my accent,
Right.
and you ask yourself, "Do I really want to play that for 20 more minutes of trying to decipher what this person's saying because of their accent?"
Yeah.
And so now this is what question I want to ask. What would you say was the most difficult, and if you can share any experience you had in your life that you've had to overcome that comes to your mind as one of the best lesson you've learned? Like this challenge, I had to overcome it, and this is the lesson I learned from it. What would you say is that story?
There's so many. Oh my God. I would say the two come to mind, but one is more of a personal situation. It was more around someone that I had invested years and time in, and that when she would call, I would answer. When I would call, she wouldn't. Um, and I was a true friend. And what I realized that through all that not to ignore the signs, especially when the people around you are saying they do not have your best interest. And I kept making excuses. Oh, she's just this or that. Oh, it's okay. Let it go. Not a big deal, Um, and just hung in there, and then it got to be a deficit. Let's just say, I mean, it was probably always a deficit, but I had to wake up um, and realize that, the snake came out of the thing and bit me. And it was just, what I realized at that moment was, ooh, ouch. That's that's not mine. And I instead of, I always take everything on like, oh, okay, there's something I did, or why did I let that happen, or da. I'm always trying to be accountable for my part of it, whatever it is, right? And she hit me with some stuff that wasn't real, and I got really upset and offended. And then I went, stop. I did what I said earlier, stop. And I realized that I asked myself the question, is that yours? Do you need to own that? And I went, no, I don't. And I knew from her perspective, because I've known her for years, I knew what she was doing behind the scenes. And I knew that there was all these things going down and she was just frustrated and upset and she decided to dump all over me.
Mm.
I knew that, but it didn't excuse it. And that was kind of like the final straw for me. And then I realized, I gave her one last chance. I said, look, if you want to talk about this, you need to call me. Stop texting. We need to connect and call me. Crickets, nothing. 4 months later, I get a text. I'm like, no.
Mm.
So it was a wonderful learning experience for myself and my own boundaries. And just really understanding my own value and own what I need to own. And what I don't need to own is I don't need to own abuse. I don't need to own that. I don't have to attack back. I don't have to whatever, but you do get excused out of my life. And that's just because it's not in alignment. I get it. And so I can look back and go, oh, okay, we're out of alignment. They're going their direction. I'm going mine. So that's fine. Let that go. It took me a while to get there, because of the,
Right.
you're attached, that's my friend,
Right.
and so anyway, that's what I would say.
Yeah. To that point, and I see you have this. I can tell by your bio. I can tell by your poster behind you, the words you're using. Transformational solutions.
Yeah.
Impact. So I can say conversations. Yeah, conversations for soulful. So conversations for solutions. That I'm sure you resonate with the idea that, like Einstein says, energy is everything.
Yeah.
And everything is energy.
Yeah.
And once you really truly understand that, then you realize that we are energy, right? And there's books by David Hawkins. He came out with the map of consciousness, which talks about the different vibrational frequencies that people are vibrating on. Like,
I love it.
200 being where most people are, and then people below that are vibrating on that greed and envy type energy.
Right.
Then people like Jesus are vibrating at 700 or 900. They're vibrating at that level. So my point is, once you understand that and realize that a person, and now reference one other quick book, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, don't take it personal. That you don't take it personal once you realize the energy that someone's vibrating on.
Yes.
Say, I can't change them. I want to change them.
Right. That's right.
They're a friend. We go back. We have this history.
Right.
But they're going to repeat that same action every single time because they're vibrating at their energy, because they're not growth minded. They're not growing. They're not looking to be better.
Yeah.
Right. No matter what your intentions are, hoping them to be better, wishing they'd be better.
Right.
You continue to grow. They're not growing.
Yeah.
And I'm asking the question now, with that context being set, how do you, and you just kind of alluded to it earlier with your answer, but what do you recommend for folks to, how do they make that discernment and then begin to move on from those people who are not in alignment, vibrating at the level they're vibrating on, and truly don't have their growth-minded best interest?
Yeah. I did a little thing in I don't know if I have it in my book. I can't remember now, but I did, when I had my workshop, I did a 2-day workshop around this. And what I always suggest with everybody is take a piece of paper, put a line down the middle and say the things on the left are the things that aren't working, that don't work for me. And then the things on the right are the things that I want to step into, that I'm excited about or I'm passionate about. Whether you're doing it or not, it doesn't have to. And then just really look from that place, because once you kind of get that, because that helps with like what you're doing, like it helps with intent and things like that. It all helps with that mission, that purpose, the intent. It helps you to get clear on that. And then you can start, then you have a platform to live on. So when someone comes at you, you don't have to take it personal. You may at the minute, like when I first did it, when I first saw what she wrote, I was like, bitch. I mean, you like, excuse my language. I was like, oh, hell no. Like that is not what,
Right.
and then and then that's the crossroads, right? That's where you meet at the crossroads. That's where you decide, am I gonna like waste my energy, react off of all that, like you were saying earlier, and lose all my energy, feel disempowered, or am I going to choose something else? What's the high road? Like what's that? And if you don't have that skill set, that's okay. You just make it up or read, continue to evolve yourself, give yourself tools where you can go, okay, my tools tell me I can sit back, I can be in her shoes and go, oh, I know why she did it. Doesn't mean I excuse it.
Mm.
I know why she did it because I know her really well. I saw where she was going. She was just frustrated. It wasn't about me. It was about her.
Right.
I totally got it. But am I going to excuse that? Absolutely not. That is not in vibration alignment with me and who I am. But I had to do that understanding. I had to do that work in order to figure that out. Otherwise, I'd just be reacting like that. I would have went down a wrong path, and then I would have been upset for months, and then I would be apologizing, and there'd be all kinds of nonsense and crap, right? So instead, I went, stop. If you want to work this out, let's have a conversation. Let's connect. That's in her lane now, right? It's in her bucket. Then she has to go, as a possibility, she has to go, is this worth it to me to own up to my stuff, maybe apologize, maybe not, but have a conversation with this friend that's my best friend, right? So those are kind of the thoughts. So, but I went over there and said, try to handle it. Here, let me handle that. It's okay. Don't worry. I'm sorry. All that other stuff, right? So, no, don't do that. I didn't do that. I just went, if you want to handle this, if you want to have a conversation, want to clean this up, clear it up, whatever, call me. And I did it in a real mellow way, not in like, like that.
Right.
She never called, and that's fine, because what that told me was that, who knows, but we really don't know. But what told me was that's not in line with me. I want somebody that's going to really be my friend and show up and say, hey, I was just grumpy. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to dump all over you. Or, you know what? Whatever. It's whatever. But at least you know that there's a willingness. But there wasn't a willingness. And to this day, I think we're on year 2 now. I haven't talked to each other. After 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. This is not just a business partner or something. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So getting that closure gives you peace of mind, though, once you come up with that closure that you just,
yeah,
parts you talked about.
And what exactly, and what people need to know is that you can have closure without that person. You can get complete here. It may take a minute, but you can do it. And your heart and your spirit will feel much better, and you won't feel sick, and you won't make yourself sick, or take up mind space, and you have to be mindful of that space up there, that, it's real estate. It's real estate, and it's precious. Start treating it as such. And it's hard because there's moments in the morning when you wake up and I'm just thinking, I'm like, what are you thinking about? What does that have to do with anything? Utilize my brain power to focus on the things that really inspire me and that move things forward, in a way that I see it, that is a contribution, that is my underlying intentions, like what is right, instead of like, oh, what about
Right. Exactly.
And then you go, wow, that was a really victim statement that you just said to yourself.
I was watching this, I forgot what the person's name was, but it was a woman on a podcast, and she said a great quote. I'm going to summarize it best, but she said basically, if you see yourself as a victim, then you are susceptible to manipulation.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought about how,
Mm,
the current climate, that's what
mm,
everything's about, is saying, here's the reason, here's these people who are the problem. These people see themselves as being victims of that. Then
yeah,
they're going to be manipulated by these folks who have agendas
that's
that
right.
only benefit themselves.
That's right.
I'm down to my final two questions I wanted to ask you. And one of them is this. You have, again, on your board behind you, or your sign behind you, you have conversations for solutions. Conversations for solutions. And this is the question I want to ask within that. Can you describe what is a true conversation for solution, and how can a person know that they're actually in that conversation? What are some of the things they can look for to let them know they're having that kind of a conversation?
Well, we're having one right now.
Great. Excellent.
Just model this. Well, for me, a conversation for solutions. So if there is issues or things that you want to talk about, or that you're thinking about, or problems that you want to resolve inside yourself, to do those, it doesn't always happen in here. It definitely starts over here. This is where accountability, responsibility happens. But if you're talking with someone else, you're having that conversation. Let's have the conversation, not just to beat up, Karen, because Karen's not doing her thing, right? Don't spend 20 minutes talking trash about her. Talk about how can we help her in the community, or is that an issue, or do we want to even do that? But don't waste your time and energy on gossip or upsets or whatever. It's good to acknowledge it, I guess. Acknowledge the challenge, the upset, the anger, it's good to acknowledge that, because that otherwise you're pretending that it's not there, but it is, right? I just say, always look for the solution instead of go, no, that can't happen. No, that's not it. No. Because then really what's there to me is fear. What is it that you're afraid of that you can't create a solution for? Everything's solution based. You can have solutions for anything, even if it's just, I need to walk away.
Right. Okay. All right. And my last question would be, how do you define transformation? And what's an example of transformation you experienced in your life? You said several, but I want the one that, when you hear transformation, that when it first pops into your mind.
Okay. I guess I equate transformation as myself, my inner self, that I'm transforming into what's next, or how I want to be, how do I want to be in the world? To me, that's allowing myself to transform. And I guess if you look around, everything's transforming. Look at the seasons. That's transformation, right?
Yeah.
From season to season. And that, to not look at each other as last year's bread, last week's bread, whatever. Because
I know what
you're,
that looks like. That's what I'm laughing.
you know what I mean?
Funny way. Yeah.
To look at to step into looking through new eyes, at things and people and things that we take for granted, and people we take for granted, even if it's one of your relatives or whatever. You haven't seen them for 24 hours. Maybe they have an insight. Ask deeper questions. Don't just go, how you doing? I'm fine. Okay, great. Think. Ask a deeper, what is it? What do you want to know about them? There's probably amazing stories that your grandparents have that you'd never hear, but you have to be curious enough to pull that out of them. Not everybody is forthcoming. Not everybody's like, let me just share, let me just tell you what I've been through.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Are there any books that you would want to recommend to our listening audience that you find that can help them make some transformations in their lives?
Outlander. No. No, I think you named you named a few. You named I love the 4 Agreements. I also love 5 Love Languages. That's really great too. I think the more you know about yourself um, through the eyes of other people and inspired, the more you'll get to know and share with other people, and opens doors quite easily when you're willing to listen and just be present. So yeah, so I'd say that. What is my other ones? God, there's so many. Nothing right off the top of my head, but yeah, anything that calls to you, you know, be curious. Just be curious, I would say. Talk to people that you know are on that trajectory. Like, I would suggest that, to reach out to King, because, he probably has a plethora of things in the library, just to reach out to him and say, hey, what would you recommend? Because, I really want to evolve myself. I've got issues here or whatever, and everybody's gone through it at some point, right? So the more that we can read and know and integrate and allow ourselves to evolve, I think we're doing good.
Absolutely. And thank you for that plug there. I appreciate it. And as we wrap up, what contact information you want to share our listening audience, as well as what do you want to offer our listening audience if you have an offer for them? And then what's the best way to actually connect with you as well?
Yeah. Pretty easy. GlendaMusic.com. That takes you onto my website, and there's everything there. So you can click through and find out whatever. Again, if my offer is, please play with me, buy my books, buy my music, buy my merchandise, because I'll take $1 off of that, and I will plant trees, and I do. So, so that would be my offer. You get good karma points for that. I'm not homeless yet.
All right.
I shouldn't laugh about that, but I've been there. Yeah, just go to glendamusic.com, and I'm all over the web. So I have an Instagram page, I have a YouTube channel. You can watch my music videos, you can watch my interviews that I used to do. I don't do them anymore just because it's a lot of work. And I've got so many things that I'm doing right now. I'm preparing for a retreat in September in the UK with Dr. Madeline Chan. Her and I put together this fabulous retreat for anybody that really wants to rest, rejuvenate, evolve. That would be with us. And that's not quite up yet. The information will be up probably in the next couple of weeks. But again, keep glendamusic.com and then you'll see it. So I'm doing that. And I'm also singing with my vocal coach, which I'm going to be meeting here in about 2 minutes. And he used to work with, he was Susan Boyle's vocal coach for 10 years, and he's a fabulous singer himself. So he and I are going to be working in the UK and touring, and lots on. Grammys next year, working on an album.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Taking action. Love it.
Yep.
Love it. Well, as we wrap up, again, I want to thank you for your investment of time and energy with being on the King Connections podcast. Anything I can do to help move your journey along, I'm going to put your contact information in the show description so folks can get that. They're watching it live or the replay. And any closing words you want to share as we wrap up?
No, just be true to yourself. Know yourself and create your own connections, your own intent, your own conversations, your own way of being, and just share it with people, and whatever that looks like.
Excellent. Thank you, Glenda.
Thank
you. You are a badass goddess.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And thank you, listening audience, for listening to another episode of the King Connections podcast. Until our next show, that's all work to connect with intent.